The mango trees in my backyard were found to be Miyazaki's, a variety that was not found anywhere in our country. My grandmother refused to allow the researchers to take a cutting, but she agreed to let them visit to check on the trees every few months. As you know now, a kilo of Miyazaki sell for lakhs. Then it was not so much, but still enough to give us another chance at a good life. What? How? I'll tell you. Let's go.
क्या इंतजार कर रहे हो? अगर आप इंतजार कर रहे हो तो इंतजार मत कीजिए, इस चैनल पे लाइक शेयर सब्सक्राइब जरूर कीजिएगा, क्योंकि हम लेकर आ रहे हैं आपके लिए 15 जायकेदार स्टोरीज। तो इस स्टोरीज को मिस ना करें प्लीज। कथा श्रृंखला एज अ स्टोरी टेलिंग फेस्टिवल, तो जरूर लाइक शेयर सब्सक्राइब कीजिए इस चैनल पे। कनेक्ट टॉक्स, I, the host Pranavesh Shinoy, brings you exclusive 15 storytellers from Mumbai. Thank you so much. Hit the bell icon and don't miss any storytellers from Mumbai. Thank you so much, guys.
Respected Sister Francesca, my dear members of the faculty, some of you I've known since my own days here, and some of you I've studied with and cannot believe that you are now on the other side of the battle lines. And my dear friends from the Rotaract Club of Central Isles, thank you for inviting me to be part of your inspiring lives event. If I had to sum up my life's journey in one line, I would say it happened with the kindness of others, but I was asked here for more than that. And I promised to give you this story and also to finish before you fall asleep. It started here, under the trees in front of our college canteen. 3 years before I joined St. Raphael's as a student of English literature, I lost both my parents in a freak accident that caused both heartache and financial hardship. I moved from the city, couldn't afford the rent, to live with my grandmother in the village. She was a widow dependent on my parents for her survival. We're nobody else. And after we finished paying off all our debts, we made our livelihood with what we could grow in the acre of land behind our home. I'm truly grateful to Raphael's for the scholarship, without which a college education would have been unthinkable for me. Most days, my lunch was curd rice and pickle. That's all I could afford, except in summer when I would have a mango to throw into the lunch basket. These were nothing like anything I'd ever seen or eaten. The skin was ruby red and the flesh a sweet, sweet, deep orange, which practically melted in the mouth when I took a bite. We would sit here under the trees in groups sharing lunch, and soon word about these mangoes spread. And I was bringing enough to sell. Of course, I knew that this was a place of education, not commerce, and there could be serious repercussions if I was caught, but we needed the money, every rupee that we could make. And of course, as you would expect, my luck couldn't hold. Any of you remember Dr. Rita Pius, our zoology HOD? Is there anybody here, even among our faculty, who was not absolutely terrified of her? She was waiting for me by the bus gates one morning as I got down. There were no words spoken and no questions. She just held her hand out for my bag of fruit. All day, I waited to be called into Sister Francesca's office. I waited the next day and the next. It was unbearably stressful, as you might imagine, and my mind cooked up all sorts of horrible scenarios. On fourth day, the call came. But surprisingly, Nobody seemed to care that I was running a side business in the college campus. There were a couple of very serious looking men who asked me what seemed like hundreds of questions. And Sister Francesca did the most unbelievable thing. She gave me the day off to take Dr. Pius and the stern-faced strangers who were researchers from the agricultural college home. The mango trees in my backyard were found to be Miyazaki's, a variety that was not found anywhere in our country. My grandmother refused to allow the researchers to take a cutting, but she agreed to let them visit to check on the trees every few months. As you know now, a kilo of Miyazaki sell for lakhs. Then it was not so much, but still enough to give us another chance at a good life. What? How? I'll tell you. Mr. and Mrs. Pillai. They knocked on the doors of homes with little babies complaining that the crying wouldn't let them sleep. The sound of children laughing made them furious. And to add to their woes, they were the only vegetarians in a neighborhood where the aromas of fish curry and mutton chukka would waft around the driveways, tempting us children to gate crash our friends' dinners. And of course, the Pillai's kitchen was forbidden to us. Meat-eating barbarians. They were my neighbours in Whitefields, a small colony of less than 30 homes, where noisy children rode cycles and played cricket in the tree-shaded lanes. When my parents and I moved to Whitefields, Mrs. Pillai, who loved her garden almost as much as she hated the world outside of it, came to our rescue, transforming the strips of cracked earth on either side of the portico into patches of colour. She planted plumeria that grew into tall trees with yellow and pink and white flowers, and planted the wild-headed parijadam with its beautiful orange-stemmed blooms and hibiscus in the brighter shades of red. This hibiscus is for Bhagavati, she would say, parijadam for Guruvayurappan. When the other neighbours said, Indra, how on earth do you put up with that woman? Amma would laugh. Poor thing. She's a bit mad, but she's okay. Till that incident that earned Mrs. Pillai the nickname Dring Pillai, after which she was not welcome in our home. See, the plants that she had given us, their flowers were for the gods. And she expected that they would be cared for organically. And Amma, who was hopeless with plants, had no idea. Mrs. Pillai, hardly more than pale skin draped over long bones, was frightening as she crashed into our house shouting, "Dring!" quite uncaring that Amma at that moment was hooked up to her oxygen cylinder. She thrust a pesticide-filled can into Amma's face, saying, "Dring! If you can offer flowers with Visham to the gods, you can drink the Visham also." We had to wash the bedclothes 3 times before we could get the stink of pesticide out of them. Whenever Amma and Appa threw parties, when we entertained, the night would ring with the sound of music and the happy chatter of guests. And every single morning, without fail, at 4:30, Mrs. Pillai would play the Suprabhadam loud enough to shake the leaves off every tree in our street. Appa would be furious. Of course, who does she think, that woman? He would shout. This is worse than the racket that bloody fool Krishna makes. And Amma would quickly say, "Shh, pavam, pesadinga, vidinga." We had all heard Krishna. Screams sometimes, followed by the smash of plates. And every single day, the guitar, the same chords, played over and over again. One summer holiday, I woke up to the sound of laughter next door. Laughter in the Pillai's home. And I kneeled on my bed and peered down into their kitchen, and there was a lady there with long curly hair and bright red lipstick and a flowy white gown. She looked like an angel. And she would sing some mornings, coax Krishna to eat on others, and some mornings she would shout, "Enough, Amma, enough, you can't live like this anymore, come back with me." And that's how she caught me, peering at her through the window grills. And every morning from that day till she left, before the rest of my house woke, I would sneak into the Pillai's kitchen to talk to the angel. And some days, her mother would join us. Quite ashamed of how my friends and I would taunt her with shouts of drink, drink, drink. I never spoke to her and she never spoke to me. But some days though, she would cut down a ruby-skinned mango for me from her fiercely guarded tree. The next summer, sitting at their kitchen table, I learned to string flowers together. And 2 summers later, with her hand guiding mine, I learned to make coffee in a dented brass filter that she said belonged to her grandmother. I wasn't there when the Pillais left. When I came home, the windows of the house next door were boarded up and the mango tree was dead. Amma told me that Krishna had been admitted into a home for boys like him, and Mr. and Mrs. Pillai had moved to live with the angel. Does she have a garden, Amma? Gardener? Kana, she lives in Bombay, ma, in a kutti flat it seems. But she left a letter for you. Adengyo pottema, sorry, da Kana, I can't find it. She also left for you an old coffee filter and 6 cuttings from her mango tree. Hello friends, please like, share and subscribe to Connect Talks. Hello friends, my name is Mahitha and I'm a storyteller with KathaShrankhla.